Okay, good morning everyone in Hazak Baruch. Thank you for joining us on this beautiful Friday morning, Erev Shabbat, as we are getting ready, everyone, for beautiful Shabbat ahead. Perashat Haye Sara. Of course, we read about the death of not only Avraham, but not only Sarah, but also Avraham in this week's Perashah. Two people pass away. And actually, the Makam, the weekly reading, the Hazan, when he goes up to be Hazan, anyone that knows the tunes that the Hazan prays in the Sephardic culture, the Hazan who goes up this week will pray in a Makam, in a scale that's known as the Hijaz Makam, which is a very sad Makam. And it's because we lose this week Avraham and Sarah. It's a sad Perashah in a way, but there is a lot to learn from the life of these two people. And right after Sarah dies, my friends, let's jump right in. I'll share with you a beautiful thought from Rabbi Y.Y. Jacobson. The Pasuk tells us, let's see, Perashat Haye Sara, here we go. And right after Sarah dies and Avraham has to now buy a land for her, and really the Perashah is really divided into two parts. You could summarize the Perashah in two thoughts. Thought number one, buying a land for his wife, and number two, finding a wife for his son. Okay, that's the Perashah. You could summarize it. This is an easy Perashah to summarize. The first half is buying land. The second half is finding a wife for his son. Right? Jonathan Sachs has a beautiful observation here. He says that actually what's very interesting is that Avraham Avinu was promised two things in his lifetime. What did God promise him for following in the ways of the Torah and the mitzvot? God promised two things: land and children. And we see that Avraham, he has neither. Avraham Avinu is promised land, and when he needs a mere 6 feet for his wife, he has nothing. So much for your promise, God. Now, what does he have to do for 6 feet? He's got to pay top dollar, 400 shekel kesef from this crook Ephron. And number two, he has to now find a legacy. And how many kids does he have? He has one. And how many kids does he have? 0. Abraham's a 40-year-old bachelor. Yitzchak, he's a 40-year-old bachelor. So Avraham Avinu, the two promises, none of them look like they're coming true. And Avraham Avinu is the one that knows that we don't sit back in life with our arms folded waiting for the bracha to come. Yes, the bracha is there, but we must do our hishtadlut. We have to be active. We have to participate in ensuring that the bracha will come from the heavens. We have to go out and find the land and buy the land and have the children and seek the shidduchim, etc., etc., etc. An amazing lesson for us that sometimes we are passive. We are passive. If it's meant to be, Rabbi, it'll be. How many times I speak to someone who's single and getting on in years, and they say, okay, Hashem has a plan. Yes, He does. And He had a plan for Abraham. But you have to make that plan come true. You have to make that plan come true. You can't just wait for that plan to just be. You have to do it. Make it happen. Avraham Avinu didn't just say God has a plan. He went out. He pursued. He was very, very active, proactive in making sure that the blessing, the promise of Hashem was going to come down. So, right after Sarah dies and he buries her, Pasuk, chapter 24. Ve'avraham zaken ba bayamim va'adonai perach et Avraham bakol. Very famous pasuk. It's a pasuk that when someone gets married, a chatan, we read this pasuk out loud at the Torah for him, right after his aliyah, on the week that he gets married at his sebit. And we had a whole class just a couple of days ago from Rabbeinu Bahye of why exactly we read this. Remember what Rabbeinu Bahye taught us? That this is the dating advice to all the bachelors and bachelorettes out there of what to look for. We learn from this paragraph, and therefore we read it out loud to remind the people this is the right path. This is what you should look for. The pasuk over here, Avraham zaken ba bayamim. Avraham is old, coming along in years, and God blessed him with everything. Asks the Lubavitcher Rabbi. That phrase, anyone know where we last saw that phrase? Ba bayamim, zaken ba bayamim. We saw it earlier. Not the first time that we see it. They were, like we say in Arabic, khityar. What does that mean? They were old. Teta and Jiddo. They were old, coming along. They were grandparents coming along in years. And what is that phrase? Zaken baya bayamim. Not the first time that we see it. We saw it somewhere else. Anyone know where we saw it? Ve'Avraham ve'Sara zekenim ba'im bayamim. Chadal liyot leSara orach kan nashim. This is in Parashat Vayera last week, chapter 18, Pasuk 11. Ve'Avraham ve'Sara zekenim ba'im bayamim. Avraham and Sarah were old, well on in years. Ask the Lubavitcher Rebbe, why the repetition? Why are you repeating? You already told me he was old. If he was old, then usually people get older. He's obviously old now. What does that mean? That he was old twice. You told me, by the way, how many years between that pasuk and this pasuk? When the pasuk says that Sarah was old and Abraham were old, how many years passed between then and now? Anyone know? Do the math quickly. Easy to calculate, by the way. The first time is when Sarah, right, the year before she gave birth to Yitzchak. Now Yitzchak is 40, so 41 years passed. So if you told me she was old then why do you got to tell me again that she was old now? Also ask Lubavitcher Rebbe, what does it mean, ba'im bayamim? What is that adding? Is it just poetic? Zaken ba bayamim. He's old and coming along in years. Is it just like a nice way of saying old? Like, sometimes you try to be like, tell me about this person, and you don't want to be mean. You don't want to say that they're something. So you use like a nice way of saying it. Oh yeah, they're wise in years, which is a nice way of saying they're old. Is that what the Torah is saying? They're wise in years. We're just being nice. We don't want to hurt Abraham's feelings. Ba'im bayamim. You look at Rashi. Rashi here has nothing to say. Rashi is silent. Rashi doesn't add anything onto the words ba bayamim. My friend says in Lubavitcher Rebbe something very beautiful. What do the words literally mean? Ba bayamim. To go into your days. See, says the Lubavitcher Rebbe, Zaken is how old you are. But Ba Bayamim is not the quantity of your years, but the quality of your years. Avraham ve'Sara zekenim. Avraham and Sarah were old, but Ba'im Bayamim. They went into the day. They lived every day of their life. A lot of times in life, as people get older, we start deciding to retire. We check out. We feel like, I'm old, my life's over, that's it, nothing for me to do anymore, nothing for me to contribute. And the years that were productive remain for the younger years. And as we get older, we kind of just let it go and we check out. And the Torah says, no, Avraham and Sarah, they were old, but they were ba'im bayamim. They engaged in life. They lived life. Sometimes we're afraid to engage in life fully. We would rather be what's called on the sidelines. I'll tell you why. A lot of times in life, there's something called emotional numbness. We're afraid to get too involved emotionally because we know that when I get involved, I could get hurt. And so we become numb. We were hurt too much. We were burned too much in the past. We are in pain from our experiences. So we decide to remain distanced. We don't allow our feelings too much to get involved. There were too many upsets in my life, and I'm scared for it to happen again. I would rather be safe. So we remain on the side. Over here, nothing bad can happen to me. Over here, yes, I'll never be great, but I'll never get hurt either. Wayne Gretzky had an amazing line. You miss 1,000% of the shots that you don't take, or 100% of the shots that you don't take, right? You're right. If you don't take a shot, you won't miss. But you won't score either. And some people in life would rather just be safe. They say a line, a boat is safest at the dock. But that's not what boats were built for. How beautiful is that? You're right. You could keep it safe at the dock. Nothing will happen to it. But then what'd you buy a boat? And sometimes as life moves on, what's called in psychology, we dissociate. We press pause on our lives. We go through life, but it's kind of like going through life through autopilot, where we go through it, but we're emotionally detached. And we do things, and we go places, and we go to work, and we go to shul, and we go to eat, and we go out, and we go to weddings. But there's a kind of lock on our heart. We put a lock. We block it off because we don't want anyone to open it. I've already felt too much pain here, and I just rather go through life easy, comfortable, no more pain, no more feelings. And it's not that we don't feel at all, because people that have this thing called dissociation, they still feel. You know when they feel? It's very interesting. They feel when they're watching a movie. They feel when they're reading a book. They have feelings when it's not real life. Maybe they identify with the character. But when you come back to real life, they shut down. They remain detached emotionally. They don't want to allow their feelings to get stirred, because again, there was so much pain. You see this a lot of times. People that are dating and they can't find a shidduch. You know, sometimes I speak to a person and I say, "How's it going?" They say, "Yeah, it's okay." I say, "Well, are you showing interest? Are you getting involved? Are you putting your foot forward?" And they'll say something like, "Well, you know, Rabbi, I already had a broken engagement. I already got hurt once. So I don't want to really show interest. I don't want to get invested. I don't want to get hurt again." And this is dissociation. We do things without being present emotionally because we're afraid of what that can mean, how that can harm us. We won't laugh in life, but at least we know we won't cry either. And the Torah tells us that's not Avraham and Sarah. Avraham and Sarah lived a very difficult life. Think about how much they went through. They had ups and downs. They left, Lech Lecha. Sarah was abducted. She finally has a child. She has a Yitzchak. And everyone's laughing. And Avraham and Sarah, they didn't go through life empty. They felt life. They put their finger on the pulse. As they say, they sucked the marrow out of life. Sarah could have detached. She could have stayed apart. But she knew that would come at the price of not living. Avraham v'Sarah zekenim ba'im bayamim. They went into the day. They lived every day to the max. So an amazing line. Attack life because it's going to kill you anyways. Don't live life just as a bystander. Don't go through the day and just, yeah, it's all right. It is what it is. You know, especially as we get now into the winter, it starts getting cold. It starts getting very blah. Avraham and Sarah, didn't matter what stage of life they were up to. Live life, my friends, with zest. Avraham v'Sarah zekerim ba'im bayamim. They went into each day. They went ba'im, literally. Read the word. Ba'im bayamim. They went into the day. They woke up. How am I going to attack today? And that means, by the way, becoming vulnerable. That may mean that I'm going to have to open up my heart. That may mean I have to get emotionally involved. That could mean that someone may hurt me. But at least I'm living life with feeling. At least I'm living life with emotion. At least I'm taking my boat out of the dock, out of the port. At least I'm going out into sea. You're right, my boat may crash. But why else do I have a boat for? To keep it safe at shore? What do I need a boat? We have to get into life, my friends. And again, something beautiful about kids. Kids, you see, kids have this. Avraham and Sarah, our rabbis tell us, they had a coin. What does that mean, they had a coin? Gemara tells us they had a coin that on one side of it was, anyone know? They created a coin. On one side there were children on it. Children, they don't care about getting hurt. They're crazy. They're brave. They're courageous. They're climbing on trees. They're walking on walls. They're hanging on chandeliers. Kids, let's go, let's get in. They eat off the floor. And they build their immune system. And what happens as we get older? No, don't do that. Don't think you're going to get hurt. There's something beautiful. Hitna'ari me'afar kumi. What does the word hitna'ari means? Get excited from the word na'ar. From the word na'ar. Be like a kid. Sometimes in life, you got to be like a child. You got to get into it. You got to get a little bit invested emotionally. Get into the sandbox. Get dirty. Maybe you'll get sick, but so what? You're living life. You're living life. Again, children, thank God, they weren't, again, you could argue on this point. I'm not a doctor. But you see, unfortunately, some parents, even today, you go to the park, they have masks on their kid's face. The kid's walking around like a zombie. What are you doing? Why does your kid have a mask? Maybe, again, the kid has a special disease and he's sick. Maybe that's the case, you're right. But there are many parents that's not the case. Fauci said to take it off. No one's wearing it. And again, my point of the class today is not coronavirus or the masks. Please, the rabbi spoke about masks today. It's not my point. My point is, sometimes, as kids, a kid's got to live. A kid's got to go through life. And all the health professionals, they would say the kids, there's nothing dangerous for the kids in this. Corona is not affecting children. Get out, go, study, go to school. But what happened? They kept us locked in homes, public school. Now they're realizing 2-3 years later, it's affecting all the kids. They're 2-3 years behind. A child is not supposed to live life locked up. A na'ad of all people, the kid's supposed to be out and about and get dirty, get sick, build your immune system. Hitna'ari me'afar kumi. So Avraham and Sarah, zekenim, ba'im bayamim. They went into the life all the way. They knew you could get hurt, but there's also what's the alternative? To just go detached, autopilot, numb, without any zest. They say there are 3 types of people. There are those who create what happens. There are those who witness what happened, and there are those who need to be told what happened. Some people live life. Tell me what happened. I don't want to go out. I don't want to see. I don't want to be the one experiencing it. I'll stay locked up in my little cubicle. That wasn't Avraham. Avraham, they were like children. They went into the days. And Avraham, then his wife dies. And that's where our parasha begins. Parasha begins with the death of Sara. Haye Sara, vatamot Sara. She dies. Just think about that for a minute. Avraham and Sarah, how many years they were together? He's already 137. They were at least together for at least 60, 70. And that's just proven from the text. That's if he got married at 70. If he got married earlier, which is probably the case, they were together for decades, for scores, maybe a century, who knows? And Avraham, he's promised. He was 25, she was 16, okay. I didn't see that, but 25 and 15, okay, thank you for sharing that. And Avraham, God tells him you're going to have a child who's going to continue your path, continue your legacy. And he finally has Yitzchak. And imagine, Yitzchak, what's his name even mean? Yitzchak, from the word tzachok, to laugh. Laughter came to the world. No one could believe it. Then, right, he's asked to sacrifice him. And Avraham doesn't complain. And then he loses his wife, his lifelong partner. She follows him wherever he goes. And now it's all him and alone. No one else. No one to share life's feelings with. And if you were to tell me, Gemara says, our rabbis tell us, that a lady dies for one person. The one who feels it most is her husband. And vice versa. When a man dies, the one who feels it most is the wife. If you told me that Avraham spent the rest of his life in sadness, in depression, locked up, closing that heart, just to become numb. You see many people that went through the Holocaust. They don't like to talk about it. It was painful. Like to leave, just keep that door shut. Certain scars are better left covered. And if you told me Avraham decided to spend the rest of his life in isolation, just, detached, disassociate, like a robot, numb, going through autopilot, no one would blame him. And Avraham, like we said, doesn't wait. He doesn't stop. He doesn't pause. He doesn't put pause on life. Avraham knows you got to live life. Yes, Sarah dies and he mourns. He wasn't in a lot of pain. Don't think he wasn't in pain. Vayavo Avraham lispod le Sarah velivkota. He cried. There's a small chaf, says Rav Hirsch, because what people saw him crying was only a small amount of his pain. he cried a lot more behind closed doors. But that was Avraham. Avraham was someone who was in touch with his feelings. Sometimes we like to just not feel our feelings. We don't like to get in touch with ourselves. We like ignore. Don't have feelings. You don't need feelings. What do feelings get you in life? Just do. Don't worry about how you feel. Don't worry about feeling anything. Just go through life numb, disconnected. That wasn't Avraham. Avraham cried a lot. The chaf, people saw only a small piece of it, but he was in pain. He allowed himself to internalize that pain. He didn't run away from the pain. He didn't compromise. He didn't lie. He didn't imagine, make believe that this is not really happening. It's no big deal. Sometimes, the goyim, they have something called a wake. When someone dies, that they put him in this casket, open casket, with a tuxedo or dressed up, whatever it is, a dress, makeup. And all of this really is just furthering the denial of what happened. In life, you have to confront reality. This is the reality. The person is dead. The halakha demands that we see them dead and you put them in the ground. Don't try to run away from the fact. Don't put makeup on them as if they're still alive. The goyim, they tried not to go to the burial. I don't want to see it. In Judaism, we're forced to see it. We're forced to sit on the floor. Sit, mourn, internalize the pain. Don't run away from it. The Torah wants us to engage in our feelings. Feel, go through life feeling pain, feeling happiness, ups and downs, highs and lows. We need to feel. Ba'im bayamim, live in the day. It may mean sad, it may mean you're going to cry, but that's part of life. The alternative is just to go robotic without any feeling. And that's not what Hashem wants from us. To live life to the max. And it means becoming vulnerable. Avraham doesn't wait for life to happen. He makes life happen. And the Torah tells us, Ve'avraham zaken ba bayamim. I want to tell you something. Avraham, even though he lost his wife, and even though his son's 40, and he's single, and he's stuck at home. Today it's a crisis. My son Rabbi, he is 40. He is all by himself. He is old man. Avraham Avinu got involved. Make it come true. And it repeats. Ba'im bayamim. Avraham was zaken ba bayamim. He wouldn't protect himself. He didn't detach. He lived life. He opened the doors. He got vulnerable. He felt the feelings. He lived life to the max. Abraham Lincoln said, "It's not the years of your life, but the life of your years." How beautiful. Doesn't matter how long you lived. Doesn't matter how long. Matters how well. It's not the years of your life. It's the life of each year. Are we living each year with life? With life. Sarah, she lived till 127. But she lived all 127. If someone today lived till 127, they checked out at 60. They start retiring, they walk around, they feel old, they feel disconnected, nothing more for me to do. I guess this is when I should start playing golf. The knees don't work anymore. It's all a mentality. Avraham lived to the max. Don't be afraid, my friends, that life will end. Be afraid that it never has begun. Don't be afraid that life will end. Be afraid that it never has begun. We need to go into life, attack life. Live every day. What that may bring is unknown. It may lead to emotions, but isn't that what life's about? Isn't that what it's all about? Feeling. Would you rather keep your boat at shore, at dock? It'll stay safe, it'll never get hurt, but you'll never experience the ocean, you'll never experience the waves of life, the ups and downs. Take it out, get involved, cry, laugh. Cry and laugh. Feel, to feel life, to feel, my friends. Carpe diem, seize the day. This is what we're here for. So I think This is the Lubavitcher Rebbe with Rabbi Y.Y. Jacobson's additions. Beautiful, beautiful message that we need to really connect, get back into life. Don't dissociate. Don't go through life autopilot. Don't go through life numb. Don't allow ourselves to just get caught up in this automatic blah, just doing without feeling. And by the way, so what do we do? How do I get out of that, Rabbi? Well, first of all, it's good to have someone that you could talk to. I know there's a stigma in the Jewish world of getting a therapist. So, if you don't want a therapist, get a rabbi. Get a rabbanit. Get someone. But you need to talk to someone. Right? Just talking about it. Recognizing. But we don't like to talk about it. We like to dig ourselves in this little corner. And we're not present, my friends. We're not present. We go through it and something bad happens, but we just leave it. We just let it happen and we don't connect to the feeling. We don't connect to the experience. We check out and call me when it's over and I'll come back in. Ba'im bayamim, my friends. Live each day. Go into every single day. It's not the years of your life. It's the life in each one of your years. It's the life that we put. It's the zest. It's the excitement. It's the emotions. It's the feelings. Avraham Avinu cried. He cried. He didn't just leave it. I don't want to know. I don't want to see. I don't want to do. I don't care. No. Avraham got into it. Let life begin, my friends. This is what life is all about. Life is about feeling. God forbid people that can't feel, right? They're sick. Very sad. Some people choose to personally not feel. And again, when we're young, we know how to feel because we're excited. But then as we get older, we got hurt, people made fun of us. And that pain, but it comes at a price. It comes at a price. Sarah could have shut down. She could have shut down, but she knew, what does that mean? Shut down and then what? Never live. I'm not really living. What's the point? It comes at a price, my friends. It comes at a price. Avraham was zaken, but he was baba yamim. He didn't let his age get to him. He didn't let his experiences get to him. He was present. He felt something. He spoke it out. He discussed it. Why did he get married again? Why did he marry Keturah? If you ask me, because he needed someone to talk to. He needed someone to... There were no therapists back then. Who was your therapist? It was your partner in life. It was your wife, your husband. That's what a husband and wife are for. To talk to each other, to grow and to build and to help and to counsel and to advise and to sit and to listen. Avraham, he was very in touch with his feelings. Make no mistake about it. He was Baba Yamim. He didn't sit back and let life happen. Some people, they pause on life and life goes by. And some people live till 100. But if you ask them, how many years did you live? It's not about your zaken, it's about your Baba Yamim. How many years did you go into? How many years did you go into? And as we get older, yesterday was my birthday, and it was a day of introspection for me. As you get older, and now I'm an old man, 32. And you start looking into your life, you start wondering, what have you done? What are you going to accomplish? But for me, this was a beautiful lesson. Don't be afraid that life will end. Be afraid that it never has begun. May Hashem help us to come into each and every single day, to live life with zest, with feeling, with excitement, the highs and the lows, what that may mean. Means that we may cry. But it also means that we're going to laugh. It also means that we'll be happy. We're going to feel. You're dating someone. You got burned. You got a broken engagement. You already got hurt because you were invested. So now what? What are you going to do now? Go on a date and not? You're going to put up a wall? That's what people do. They put up a wall. Because I'm afraid to get hurt again. But guess what happens? A, you're not living. And B, you put up a wall. How do you think the other guy's going to feel? You're hurting yourself. You're dating someone with a wall up. The other person doesn't know that you have a wall up. They don't know why you have a wall up. They just think that you're a person in general that's very not fun. And then they break up with you, and it just this vicious cycle you're creating. Yeah? Gotta attack life. Attack life, my friends, because it's gonna kill you anyways. Attack life. We should live life to the max. We should attack life all the way, Be'ezrat Hashem, to live every single day till the end. We'll stop over here, everyone. Wishing you all a Shabbat Shalom. God willing, we'll see you all tomorrow. Rather, next week. Bye-bye.